Good afternoon. It's Rick Storlie with Coach's Corner from New Home Sales Coach. And every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central, I'm going to spend 10 minutes with you tackling the topic on marketing and selling new homes and remodeling projects. So please let me know if you are here live and what business you're in. And if you have a question or a thought, I will try to get to it during this episode. And if you're watching the recording, leave a comment or question. And if I use it in a future episode, I'll make sure you get the credit. So let's go to today's topic. Drum roll, please. Is how to deal with price-sensitive prospects, and we have a special guest with us. His name is Rob Fritz from NIH Homes. So, Rob, welcome to Coach's Corner. Thanks for joining us.
You bet. You bet. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. So I got to give a little background. You and I met, I think you were calling me. I worked for a home builder that we had some land, and you were trying to get some information on lots. And so we first talked probably back in the early 2000s. Oh. And then subsequently, I'm like, hey, this guy's kind of sharp. I went to a different builder and I recruited you to sell for that builder. And that was 2004. So we have been working together between two different builders for the last 16 years. So right. It's fun to have you on because obviously I've done a lot of coaching over the years, and you've taught me things and I've taught you things. Yeah. And so this is a great topic. I know you excel at it. And again, thanks for being here.
Yeah, you bet, Rick. Hey, Rick, one of the things there too is that I realized that one of the things we have in common the most is the continuous education. I mean, we were in Vegas together at education. We actually met an education thing before you had invited
at the Home Builders Association. I think we were getting our CSP designation or something like that at NHB. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it does pay off.
That and when we have kids that are some good kids and some messed up kids too, right, Rob?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we got that in common too. Don't forget that. Yeah. So I want to give you. You're currently with NIH Homes, and NIH Homes is a second generation home builder here. You're in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and you guys are. I'm going to call you a semi-custom home builder that also does custom homes. Average sales price is between $900 and $1 million.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you do on-site sales and mostly semi-custom. Is that fair?
Yeah, mostly. I mean, lately, lately we've been doing that, but it's always updating the house plans and making it their own. So yeah, mostly semi-custom. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you deal with this all the time, even though you're in a decent market. It's not red hot, but it's decent, is dealing with price sensitive customers. So you and I had this conversation, and you gave me 3 key points of things that you work with any of your leads and prospects. So let's talk a little bit about key point number 1. You said, you know what, the first thing I do is I listen and understand why price is an issue, and I do that first. You want to expand on that a little bit?
Well, it's true, because you don't know. It's just like with anything. You have to discover why it's an issue to them and why they're hung up on it. It could be they can't really afford it. It could be they saw a competitor. It could be they are used to always negotiating everything because their dad had said to always do that. So you have to find out why they're really saying it. If it's their top ceiling of the budget, or if they're doing it because they feel like they have to. Like for example, if I assume that it's because they think we're higher than a competitor, and I say something like, well, even though we're higher than the competitor, we're better than the competitor. And they might say, well, wait a minute, I didn't realize your competitor was less. So you have to find out more before you
sure.
You have to find out more.
Sometimes it's cultural, right? Certain cultures, it's a negotiating culture, and they're automatically going to try to get something off on the price. And sometimes it's just, as you said, setting the stage to let them know that, or I should say, establishing a value for what you're selling.
Right. So, a good way to do that is to say, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Will you tell me more about that? So send it back at them. If they say, oh, price is too high. Okay, I think your price is too high. Well, tell me more about that. I hear what you're saying, but tell me more about that. And then let them talk. And then they'll probably lead you down a path where you'll know, then you'll know what you have to work with.
Peel back a layer, right, if you will, of the onion. You mentioned the two as we were discussing. You used this quote, which I really like. So if price is most important, we have to look at this a different way. You said that's just a quote that you will give to or use maybe with one of your leads and prospects. Explain that a little bit more.
Well, it's just really what it's trying to do is, I guess it's trying to make sure that they're the right match for us. It's trying to it's trying to make sure they're the right match. Because if they think they're going to get priced just because they're asking for a lower price, it's just trying to make sure that they realize you can't have it all. You can't have the best home builder with service, warranty, a positive experience. You can't have the best lot and the largest home and the lowest price. I mean, something has to give, just like anything in life. So I'm just really setting the stage for that when I mentioned that to them. And then, I mean, obviously, if the price is their ceiling, then we have to look at the more affordable lot that maybe is on the road. We have to remove the sport court. We have to think of it that way and kind of walk through what we have to do. But many times, most of the homeowners that I meet with, I notice they can always raise the bar, but they don't initially want to.
Of course.
And so you're really basically, you're basically just trying to get them to say, well, yeah, I mean, I can afford more if I need to. I mean, you almost want them to just say, yeah, price isn't most important to me. And then as soon as you get that, then that helps the rest of the process.
So that's the question. I'm just curious, what's more important, getting a low price or the relationship with the builder you partner with? Sort of a gate to ask them right up front.
Right.
All right. Well, let's go to key point number 2. So you told me you use logic to justify your price. So give me some examples of how you do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly an emotional seller. I'm like an inspirational person, but I inspire them with the models. So we're looking at models, but the thing that happens along the way, the logic there is to show them the models. Let's just say that they want to be at 800. That husband or one of the two is saying 800 is our top, Rob. That's all we can do. Well, you show them models that you have. They're all 850, 875, and they love everything about them. And then you ask them in a nice way, what would you remove from this? Oh, nothing. Well, now you basically have set the tone that says you have to spend $875 to $850 to make this work. If you're telling me you like all this that you see in the model, so I will show them models, and then I'll also usually there's 1 or 2 construction homes up from homeowners that we're working with, and I'll walk through them. Number 1, to show them the construction methods and some of the things behind the walls. It's exciting. Also, it smells like like a new house, right? You smell lumber and all these things. But then also I'll say, yeah, for example, hey, this is a nice site, larger house. These people are in the 900s, and I'll basically logically remind them that the houses that we're looking at here in this neighborhood that you want are all in the 900s. Models are in the mid 800s, so we're not going to get to 800. And how are we going to do it? It's almost like helping them raise the bar. I also had mentioned to you that for my analyticals, and I usually wait a little bit longer on this, more near the end, where I'll send a comparative market analysis, and I'll hand pick the ones that are our homes, because you can't pick the lower competitor homes, but I'll pick our homes and say, hey, here's where our homeowners have been in the last year, and they're all higher than usually people want to ask.
You're putting your sales on the MLS as
yes,
for sold comparables. So then you'll pull. So it's public data. You'll use recent comparables and just show them, look, this is what people are paying, just like you, just to help them build confidence to move ahead. Now, if you're a custom builder, I know sometimes custom builders don't have the ability to do that, or it doesn't make sense to put them on the MLS. But I know when we were at Custom One, we created that spreadsheet of where we just took the last custom jobs that we had done, and we had put them on a spreadsheet, and we said, here's a style of home, this was the square footage, this was the finish level, and this was the price per square foot. And so then we were able to show people right up front, people just like you have invested between here and here, price per square foot, and so it kept them in the range.
Right. Like you said, it's really, if they realize other people that are buying the models, or other people that are doing the new builds in the neighborhoods where they want to be, if they realize other people are raising the bar to have what they want, then it's more reassuring to them. And also it sets a price range and say that this is the price range. And then you do the market analysis from the MLS for those that are analyticals who want to look at that, and that just reinforces it.
Okay. And you also talk a little bit, you said you work it in there, if I'm in a good market, I'm showing sales activity, I'm showing sales velocity, you're doing comparable sales to help them justify the price. But you also will kind of work in there a little bit too that, hey, by the way, prices are going to go up or are expected to go up. So you plant that seed, sounds like, as well.
Yeah, we usually, for sure. We plant that seed. I mean, it's been happening obviously, but I do plant the seed. Many times on models, it helps encourage them to maybe own a model that was last year's prices. I try to remind people this model was started 9 months ago, basically, when we first
Right.
priced it out. But yeah, definitely price increases helps to lay that out there and just say it in a nice way and just make sure that they hear it a few times. Many times they know it anyway. And then in our first meetings, I mean, I basically say my home builder is a home builder that has integrity, and we'll come in with the best price right away. A lot of home builders may add in something to remove it later, but we're going to come in with the best price the first time. And all our homeowners pay the full price for the full value and service that they want to get. So I do lay that out there too, basically saying that, hey, at the end of this thing, don't plan to negotiate. I do lay that out there a couple times along the way.
Planting those seeds.
Right.
All right. So let's go to your third point here, which is, we call it tell a story. So give us a little bit of insight here on how you tell stories to deal with price objections and get the full value for your package.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost that thing you and I had talked about before. Now, I know we've already talked about this just maybe a little bit, walking through houses of the customers' homes. I mean, in fact, we recently had a few custom built open houses where we do a one-time showing. We have people show up for that, or lately we've been doing a Facebook Live event. But it really, it shows what other people are doing. So you refer back to other people that also made the decision to raise the bar, have the nicer house, work with the better home builder, and that they're happy at the end, and they're letting us show their house. That's how happy they are. They're letting us show their house before they move in. But also, I guess the thing that you and I have used over the years is that found to hear what you're saying. I understand how you feel. Many of my homeowners felt the same way, but here's what I found. A homeowner of mine had bought a Lennar house, a high production home builder house, lived there for 3 years. They weren't happy with it. They weren't happy with how the neighborhood turned out, with the people living there. They were all price oriented, and they weren't happy with the way the house performed. And so they're now working with us now to build a house with us. So, working those type of things. I'll also say that, hey, I'll say I ever had a really hard negotiator, a very strong personality, and he kept asking for money off. And I nicely, had a good relationship with him because I had set the stage along the way, and I held the line, and he moved ahead full price, was happy with it. Very happy that he did. Again, he had an open house. He invited me to his holiday party for he and his family. And so I'll talk about customers who also had that same issue where they had a hurdle to overcome the price, and they were happy that they did.
So one of the objection strategies we talked about is called reviewing their history, and that's what you did with the folks from Lennar. Is that they made a purchase decision based on a low price. So I'm going to go with a publicly traded production builder. Obviously, I'm trying to get the absolute most home for the least amount of money. And that's where a lot of your prospective buyers are coming from. They're moving out of that particular scenario. So I go back and I review their history. Okay, so that was price one of your major criterias for making that purchase? Yes. So what you did, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, is you made a low price purchase that came with a high cost of ownership. So a high cost of ownership means that a home didn't perform the way it wanted. Maybe the design wasn't the best. I couldn't personalize and customize things during that process. And so that's what you're selling through telling a story and dealing with that price objection.
Right. I know you and I had been at, just to go back a little bit, for a very wise man that we had saw in Las Vegas, Zig Ziglar. He has a line, sure I don't have it exactly right, but it basically said it's better to pay a little bit more and have it perform the way that you want it to and be happy with it than to not pay enough and not be happy with it.
Exactly.
If you think about it, man, I built the house and you built the house, and my house, luckily you built the house the second time, but I love to do it a second time because the things I've removed, that I saved a couple of dollars on, I regret every day.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's always the things you pull out. And that's, again, another way to tell a story.
Right.
So, Rob, excellent information. And I really appreciate you being here. And let me wrap up with this, is that Rob and I have worked together for many, many years. And what I have designed is, after dealing with this and coaching salespeople like Rob, is something called the Perfect Pricing Blueprint: why your buyers think you're priced too high and how to fix it. And I'm going to strongly encourage you guys to invest in how to deal with price objections and to invest in yourself. Now, this particular tutorial, I'll go ahead and I'll show you what it is. This particular tutorial is a video tutorial with a downloadable scripts and things that we just talked about with Rob. But you find out the 5 pricing mistakes that are costing you sales, how to create value. Rob talked about that a lot, for your offering, so you aren't beat up. It's setting the stage, as Rob said, early. You don't wait until you get a price objection. You set the stage with the very first phone call or virtual meeting now, if that's what it is, or first time you meet them at your model home or at their home. Knowing when to present pricing based on the advertising source of your lead. Obviously, referral leads are going to be treated differently than, say, a walk-in, model home walk-in. And then the questions to weed out bad prospects, who are wasting your time. The 4-step formula for getting paid to price. Never, ever, ever start pricing without getting some sort of commitment, right, Rob? Whether it's a home site reservation or a plan design or a scope and range agreement, but you got to get that money before you start giving out pricing. Right. And then finally, that format. What is that perfect pricing format for presenting numbers to your prospects for getting the sale? So I put together this form, this for you. You can pick it up. It's $20. It's a video tutorial, downloadable tutorial to go with it. And it will be the best thing that you can ever do for yourself to understand why you're getting price objections from your own process, the psychology behind buyer behavior, and not waiting until you get the objection at the very end, but preempting it, like Rob was talking about. So Rob, again, thank you so much. We went a little bit over, but it was great content, great insight from you, of a 20-year vet. And we'll see you on the flip side. So the link for this tutorial I will put in the comments right below here. And for my brothers and sisters in Christ, may the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all. We'll see you next Wednesday.
You bet. Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, Rob.